Hey guys, so I just hit 100k YouTube subs, so to celebrate, I'm gonna help you guys out and give you a guide on how to get better at TFT. This is gonna be catered towards beginner and even to advanced players. And I think with the new set, a lot of players are coming in and there's a lot of stuff to talk about. So I wanted to put as much knowledge as I can into this video, and I'm gonna make it as short as possible. Not to save effort or anything, but I don't want to make it feel like a lecture. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start. So first it's going to be planning your game around a win streak or lose streak, and then that really just changes your entire approach to the game. How picking augments. If you guys want, let me know. I can probably go more in detail. Just let me know which part you want to go more in detail, and I can make more in-depth analysis of certain aspects, but just let me know in the comments. But knowing what units to hold mid-game, itemization. So itemization is the most important, but I think augments is a really big thing. Win streak is also really important. Knowing what units to hold and itemization. But I think itemization is probably the most complicated one, so that I'll save that for the end because these are easier to talk about at the beginning. So generally speaking, you want to pick the augments that are more flexible, so you're not forced to play a comp. For example, taking let's say you get instant injection, the one where you proc Chemtech as soon as the fight starts. That is actually probably one of the best augments late game when you do already have your Lissandra, Victor, Mundo, Zac, Urgot, right? But if you don't have that yet, you're just sacking your entire early game, and is it really worth just playing a really garbage board the entire early game? Probably not. And then you would probably just take Celestial, and you can flex a stronger board, and you're not forced to play around a Twitch mid game, because Twitch is just gonna make you lose infinite HP. And then also another thing that's important is just looking at your items. For example, if you have tier rod, you're probably never going to take weak spot, right? You're probably gonna be flexing into the AP tree. So if you're playing the AP tree, you don't really need the armor pen. So I'm just going to do two examples. Here is the first example. Here I have tier belt on bench. And yes, Celestial is more flexible. Cutthroat you would almost never take because I'm never going to flex into the Sentry from here, right? So you can basically just eliminate Cutthroat. But Celestial is more flexible, but here I actually opt in to take Ardent Sensor because now that I have tier belt, I already know I'm flexing to the AP tree. And the AP tree a lot of times can easily play Vex, it can play Janna, it can play Taric, it can play Lulu, it can play Yuumi, Seraphine, all that stuff. So I'm just hey, tier belt is really hard to streak early game, so I'm gonna go ahead and just sack my early game. Don't really worry about Celestial. Take Ardent Sensor, even though I'm not gonna play Enchanters until late game, and just basically just play a loose streak opener. And I'll talk about loose streak openers in a sec. But if you were just fast forward this game, and then I just play some weird slam items, Heimer carry, Malzahar. I actually rolled down to 10 here, and it worked out. I think I actually won this game. Yeah, I won this game. I think a big reason I won is because the Ardent Sensor value is just a lot of value late game. So, and then here is the next example. This one is a little weird as well. So right now, this is a stage 3 augment. I'm playing Innovator frontline, and I think at this game I committed to Singed Ezreal reroll. If you were to look here, the carry in Innovators is going to be mostly AP and in just a bunch of random stuff backline. And most of the time you want to itemize your Seraphine. So in itemizing your Seraphine, Orianna, Janna, even though Clockwork is going to spike my board right now, I'm not really committing to my board right now, right? And also late game, Orianna is also an enchanter and pairs with Zillion. So you don't really want to even play Jhin for 4 Clockwork. So even though Clockwork is better for my current board, you can invest into your late game and just take first aid kit. You take the first aid kit here, and you already know you're playing around Janna. You already know you're playing around Seraphine. You can play Yuumi, Orianna, all that stuff. So you take first aid kit, and then it's just going to be better. It's a better investment. So you just take the augments that fit around your comp, not always the one that kind of gives you the immediate spike, but sometimes you're going to be win streaking and you want to take the immediate spike. For example, here, if I was maybe on a 7 streak and then I'm just playing strongest board, I would take Clockwork Heart, maybe level to 7 post carousel, and actually roll for 4 Clockwork. Your game plan should always be around whether you're streaking win streak or lose streak, because if you are lose streaking, and then here I'll just kind of start talking about win streaking or lose streaking. If you're win streaking, you are more prone, or like it's more acceptable to slam suboptimal items. Like for example, like slamming Shiv, slamming Sunfire Cape. Like yes, late game Sunfire Cape on Mundo is not nearly as tanky as Warmog's Bramble, but like the Sunfire, the amount of HP and econ that you can generate through a Sunfire early game is going to be well worth it. And also like a non-BIS carry, the amount of HP that you can save early game, maybe even greed econ intervals, is going to be worth it if you already have upgraded units and a strong board. So like if you have a strong board, it uses like better, like upgraded units use items better than non-upgraded units. It's really obvious, but basically like a Sunfire Cape on a Darius 1 is probably not going to do anything. It's not like it's going to be a Sunfire diff if your Darius 1 is itemized or not, right? But if you have like the Darius 2 and a Poppy, then Sunfire was actually a pretty strong slam. If you go into a game and hey, you hit no upgrades, you can just lose streak. You can sell suboptimal pairs. You can make 10 on 2-1. You can opt out of leveling. You can hold pairs, and then hey, if you hit your pairs, then hey, you're just going to try to go for a win streak. And when I say win streak, even like a 2 streak is valuable, because a 2 streak is also making 2 gold, and it really does change your game plan, because if you lose, you can continue losing. You can stack for carousel, get better items. You can make 10, you can make 20, you can make 30, and then you can just go like maybe fast 8 on 4-2. You can actually roll down on 3-5. You can roll down on 3-2. Basically, the amount of money you have actually just increases how many options you have in the game. But if you are winning, you want to continue winning. Sometimes if you are sitting on like 3 pairs, you can actually roll on stage 2. I think I honestly could make another video on this. I think I don't do it justice by just talking about it in this video, but I want to keep it short so it's not just like a straight up lecture. Like even pushing 6 off interval, like on 3-1 to keep your streak by putting in an extra strong unit, stuff like that. And then also just thinking about when to level. Like for example, if you have a Lowy pair, Singe pair, Ezreal pair, Poppy pair, Darius pair, you probably don't want to level because you're sitting on 1 cost pairs, and if you level to 4, yes, you get to play an extra unit for 1 turn, but does it really matter if you win or lose that round? Probably not. Like trying to force win streak is probably the biggest mistake players make, and people actually make that mistake in Challenger. Like for example, not to fling my duo partner or anything, he's been my friend for like 8 years, but I've been trying to explain to him that like what separates the best players from just like Challenger players is like any Challenger player can play from ahead, but I think from playing from behind and doing a tempo swing by like accumulating just econ early game is like where the most skill comes from. But anyway, I think I can probably do another video about this. Just let me know. And then here, this is really easy to talk about. It's just think about what units to hold mid game. And as you play more and more games, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. But if you don't know, I guess this is like more of a beginner tip. But like the synergy pairs, or like not the synergy combos. Alawi, Vi, Caitlyn. This will give you Brawler, and then it also gives you Enforcer with Caitlyn, and then you can easily pair Caitlyn with any of the snipers such as Kog'Maw, Tristana, MF. It's like super easy to hit. And then like if you have a Camille too, you probably want to play like Warwick. You want to start holding the Quins and maybe look for like a Yone transition with a Yone itemization, so that is also like it gives you direction on items, right? And then like Innovator with Camille, because Camille gives Clockwork Resilient, and then Lissandra pairs with Heimer and Singed when you do find the Heimer and stuff like that. But like would you actually hold a Lissandra, or would you hold like a Darius pair? As soon as you already have the Singed to Ezreal too, you can probably just go ahead and sell your bodyguards, because pivoting out of the Innovator and into bodyguards is not going to be strong. And another thing is you want to hold your units around your items. So if you have like AP items, and let's say you're looking for Seraphine carry, you want to force it in a way where if you lose a round, you can actually sell your board and make it weaker and start pivoting into Innovator, so you can hold the Innovator units without losing more econ. So like if you can make 20 while selling your board and pivoting into like a Singe 1, Ezreal 1, Zillion 1, it's assuming you already know you're going for like Seraphine carry, then you can go ahead and do that. But I would be a little cautious, because there should be some flex play involved, because like Lissandra can hold Seraphine items as well, and if you already have upgraded brawlers, sometimes it's not worth selling even if you do lose, just because the upgraded brawlers, you're closer to that. But also look at your bench. Like if you have like Vi pair, Alawi pair, Caitlyn pair, but you only have Singe 1, Ezreal 1, you can just go ahead and give up on the Innovator and look for maybe a Lissandra flex into a Victor late game carry. There's just like stuff like just play around your bench, play around what you hit, and yeah. And then lastly, itemization is, I think I already kind of talked about selling items to save HP. If you are going for a win streak, if you have upgraded units, like Sunfire Cape is really good, Shiv is really good. Even like itemize early game carries is really strong. Like a Runans on Ezreal, like sure, Runans can kind of limits you to maybe Urgot or Yone, but that is completely fine if you have like a Singe 2, Ezreal 2, Zilean 2, Camille 2. Chances are you're going to be win streaking the entirety of stage 2 and 3. But maybe you'll like drop a few rounds here and there, but that's fine. You still have the HP to go 8 on 4 or 5, and you're not just stuck rolling on 7. Because if you are rolling on 7, assuming you're not playing a reroll comp, you are probably just relying on RRG to top 4 that game. And if you have to roll on 7, chances are, or most of the time, some games you have to roll on 7. And then here I'm going to talk about like itemizing a better combo of items. So after Wolves, basically you're guaranteed 12 components by the end of Raptors, which is stage 5. So like after Wolves, if you already have 12 items, you probably want to just slam all of your items immediately, or maybe let one alone to give you BIS for your carry. So like one obvious example is like GA Runans on Yone. If you probably want to leave the glove as your last item because it can flex into QSS, it can flex into Last Whisper, it can flex into IE. So and it can even go into Hodge if you really want it. So that's like 4 items. But like saving like maybe something like a belt is not good because your chances are you're not going to finish your Yone. So that's a really obvious example. Another example is like you can slam Shroud, but then you're stuck with a Runans in an AP comp. And yes, Shroud is really good starting stage 4, but then you're going to be stuck with the Runans. So if you have like glove, chain, bow, cloak. If you just look at the items, I can just look real quick. Glove, bow. It's probably never Last Whisper, so you can just eliminate that. You can do glove, cloak, chain, bow. You can go like QSS Titans. Like even though that's less optimal and it's not BIS on Vex, chances are it's going to be better because at least your Vex gets something, you know, like you don't want Shroud, which is a utility item, when you're missing itemization for your tank, and then Runans is just completely useless. So like you want to go for the better combo items, and most of the time, sometimes it's worth greeting. Also like saving an item on your bench that's more flexible, such as like glove. So if your Katarina needs healing, maybe you don't slam the glove and you don't slam the tier and you don't slam the BF and you don't slam the rod, then you can actually itemize for, or you save like the BF and the glove. So that way you can go for a rod or a tier out if you need healing. But sometimes you have to slam if your spot's doomed. You just like think about it. And then knowing what to go for on carousel. So this is more basically when you're loose streaking, you want to greet BIS. So if you're loose streaking, you don't want to most of the time you don't want to slam Sunfire, assuming you don't have upgrades to hold Sunfire. And then starting stage 3, you probably don't even want Sunfire anyway. Like you can greet for Warmog's Bramble, but another thing is like, let's say you know Lux BIS is our best in slot is blue buff IE JG. That's rod, glove, BF, glove, tier. That means you need 1 rod and one BF, but you already have a glove. So if you already know you're playing AP itemization, like let's say you have a Yordle opener with like a Vex. So you're just hatching like the Ziggs, you're hatching the Vexes and stuff like that. You're holding the TF, you're holding the Swing, you're holding the Malzahar. On carousel, if you are loose streaking, you're just making money off Yordle and making 10, making 20 as early as possible. You can just go ahead and go for tier. You don't really have to commit to your board yet. You want to commit to your board once you start getting the blue buff, once you start getting the JG, and once you start getting your items down. And you just rely on the fact that your best in slot carry, your blue buff IE JG Lux, is going to carry against the players that are win streaking, gets the more defensive items or suboptimal items. Not always does the win streaker never have BIS, but more often than not, you're going to have better items because you have carousel priority. And also the last tip for especially beginner players, I think people kind of know, but just stop looking at textbook BIS and just realize that items scale off of each other. This is, by the way, this is taken from Sox's video. Sox actually Sox is another really good player. He makes guides on YouTube, but I cannot stress it enough that just put 3 tank items on your front line and 3 damage items on your back line. He was talking about in his video that his girlfriend like went from like silver to gold like in one day because the only tip he told her was 3 tank items for your front line and 3 damage items for your back line. But I wanted to go a little bit in depth so you guys can actually be more creative in itemizing your carry. It's items scale off each other. Like for example, a really obvious example is like, let's say you have redemption on your front line. It scales with Warmogs because you heal more. Like Bramble scales with Warmogs because it gives you more armor, and then it gives you more effective HP because Warmox gives you base HP. So like Bramble is preventing a percentage of your physical damage, and Warmox just gives you more HP, so you can even deflect more physical damage. So like that's like really obvious. So if you're looking for like a tanky frontline, you probably want a three item frontline. That's like to put it in simple terms. And then so is your backline. Like if you have Ginsu, which gives attack speed, and you attack faster. If you have Ginsu DB, you do more, like even more damage than just DB, because you're attacking faster with higher AD. And then when you have AD, the crit, if you have like IE, then your crit also amplifies off the base AD, and then you can attack more, and then that gets amplified even more. So it's like a multiplier, and they itemize off of each other. And then the last tip I wanted to give is just think about like, I guess it's like crit is like the most important part, like knowing when to itemize crit. So like, for example, like, yes, Kai'Sa's an AP carry, but like JG is honestly really trash on Kai'Sa, because Kai'Sa has no like base AP amplifiers. Like she's not like an Arcanist or anything like that. So that you're basically critting off of base 100% AP. So like you're critting off base 100% AP. Whereas Lux with 6 Arcanists equals 200 AP without items. And then you're critting off of 200 AP. So you're taking the crit multiplier onto 200 AP versus 100 AP of Kai'Sa. So when you go BIS, so thinking about BIS Kai'Sa, there's just a lot of variants. You can go like Ginsu, and then like, you know how Hodge kind of pairs with JG? You can do that, because now the JG gets extra value because Hodge also gives crit, and it also gives base AP. So that's like one variant that you can do. You can even do like Shiv, Shojin, Rabadons. It doesn't really matter, right? And then you can even go GA, QSS, JG, and then the JG is here assuming Darkstar or Darkstar Voracious Appetite or whatever the thing is, because now your Kai'Sa is going to have AP from your other units dying, because you gain 30 AP per unit that dies. So then that's good too. But most of the time, like Rabadons is going to be better than JG. Just think about like how your items flex that way. This is another thing. If you have like IE JG on Lux, chances are you want to go 6 Arcanist. If you just have like Archangel / Rabadons and you can't really crit, then maybe you can just drop them to 2 Arcanists plus support units, such as like Enchanters, like Scholars and stuff like that. You just want to play around your itemization. And then I just wanted to quickly touch on like AD. If your Yone has crit amplification, you want more base AD. So then you can tech into 4 or 6 Academy. If it has no crit amplification, let's say it has DB, then you can actually just tech into more Challenger, because you just want more attack speed and stuff like that. I can do like an itemization guide, like, and then kind of tie it into win streak or lose streak. Just let me know what you guys want. But hopefully this guide is helpful and it wasn't too much of a lecture. But anyway.